Cause virtual is where we live, live, live. Cause virtual is where we live, live, live. Cause virtual is where we live, live, live.
What's up, YouTube? This is Paul from Mickey Tech Tips, and I just got done watching the Netflix keynote. And I'm sorry that this is coming up late, but my internet's been down all afternoon. And also, I honestly thought that the Netflix keynote was this evening, like the other two were, the Nvidia and the Intel ones, which those are the two major ones that I watched. But it turns out that they've had actually more than two keynotes already. And I honestly thought it was just one per day. So I've only watched those two. And I'll be covering the ones that I think that are important into the end of CES, which is Saturday. So I'm going to go back and watch the replays of them. And I'll be bringing you the info about those. And then the ones that I don't cover, I will be covering in the live stream Saturday, which is going to be like 7 or 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will be posting like an hour before I do the stream when it is going to be. So stay tuned for the rest of the week, and with that said, let's talk about the keynote. Alright, so that keynote was basically a fancy way of doing a launch in 130 new countries, and now they have up to 21 languages. They also promoted a bunch of their new shows and whatnot, but the main part was international availability. Now, the only thing that is going to be hard right now is that there are still content blocks, meaning that there are certain shows that are still available only in certain countries. So, like over in America, there's only shows that are available in America. But the thing is, those things that are only available in certain countries, they're not Netflix original series. They're still traditional series stuff. And that's the whole reason of Netflix, so they can break down the barriers of TV, because they have outdated business models and they were just tired of it. So they have their own content now. The internet has paved the way for just all sorts of new stuff. They talked about how they're able to release all the episodes of a show all at once. They give creators the freedom of what they want to do. They do all sorts of stuff. They talked about some of the shows that they filmed overseas, about how they filmed them and dubbed them in different languages for people all around the world. And they talked about how we're transitioning into a binge age, meaning that we'll be able to watch everything all at once. So it's just neat where Netflix is going, because I remember when I first got Netflix around 2010, they had stuff on there. It was mainly already pre-recorded movies and stuff that you could buy in stores. They had TV shows on there. Some, it was still mainly movies. Then they added more TV shows, and now they even have original series, which I have not seen yet because I do not have Netflix. I do have other services, but I think this once is making me want Netflix now, because some of the new series looks neat. Now, the only thing was, I did not get to see any of the new previews for the new shows, because they showed like 2 or 3 of them, and they were not able to show it on the screen on the live stream. And I think they did that for it to be a surprise, and just so it's because it's copyrighted and all that, even though they own the copyright. So it was neat hearing about these shows and what they're going to be about. They talked about one about a drug cartel. They talked about how this one woman wanted to explore these different topics and stuff. It was really neat. It was basically just a growth from the broadcast age. The broadcast age, which would be like your radio, and then your early broadcast TV, up to the cable TV age, and now up to the binge age / internet streaming age, which honestly, I do think internet streaming is the future. The only problem we're running into now is internet bandwidth caps, and that's one of the things they're working on. Is they're working with internet providers so they can provide unlimited data so you can stream to Netflix. They're also working on compressing the data so it doesn't use as much data, because believe it or not, the internet providers are all having to pay for the data you use to the FCC so the FCC can make more money. I don't know why, but I think it's so they can regulate it and make money for the government. They also are just trying to compress it so to give you a better experience. And it relates back to that Intel press conference, how they'll focus on good experiences. So it's going to be something to watch out for. And honestly, I believe that they're going to be able to compress stuff down eventually, that it's not going to kill your data plan, because I'm afraid to watch any kind of online stuff on my data plan sometimes because I don't want to run it out. In fact, I still run it out because the majority of the stuff I watch on my phone on LTE is video. So they had about 42 billion hours of streaming video last year alone, which 2 years after they launched the online streaming service in 2010, because they launched in like 2008, 2010 alone only had about 2 billion. Now it's up to 42 billion 5 years later. So I honestly think that Netflix is doing a good job. I think they're going to keep it up, and I think eventually we'll be able to get past the bandwidth caps and stuff. And you might not know that you have a bandwidth cap until it's too late and you get a notification from whoever you have your internet from. So stuff like that, they're going to take and revolutionize the industry, which some people are mad about that because that takes away from their earnings. Cable TV providers are kind of mad because they lose out on some monies. Stuff like Comcast and all that, they wanted to charge extra so you could be able to watch Netflix because they were losing money. Just all sorts of stuff is coming together, and honestly, piracy is another issue that they're combating, and by having an easy to use and reasonably priced platform, they're able to combat piracy. In fact, they mentioned when Netflix launched in Australia that they were able to bring piracy down there by a lot. So honestly, I think that's going to be the way to go. Did you know Netflix actually originally started out 20 years ago? Sorry about that. I honestly need to clean out the room on my camera. But as I was saying, Netflix started out by distributing home DVDs and stuff. And I guess VHSs too, since they said 20 years ago they had a goal of being able to stream video on the internet in the future. And that's one of the things. If you think about it, you imagine the stuff in the future, and actually someone else is probably imagining that stuff too, and eventually it comes true. I honestly never thought when I was little, like when I was in kindergarten and stuff back in 03 or 04s, that would be able to watch video on the internet. Because I remember internet being slow, you had to use dial-up and all that good stuff. And that was also before the days of YouTube. I never thought there would be a place where you'd be able to watch videos in one place. And so stuff like Netflix, Hulu, all sorts of stuff are breaking down the barriers of traditional TV. And internet just keeps getting faster and faster. In fact, Netflix even streams 4K content now, which, by the way, no cable TV provider has yet to produce 4K content because the modern infrastructure does not support it yet. And so the Netflix is breaking down those barriers by offering those high quality videos on the right devices, and it'd be interesting to see some of that stuff because I've seen 4K demos before and they look awesome. So there's that. They have really apparently have innovated more than the cable industry has in the last few years, and the cable industry took about 20 years to get to where they are now, and it only took Netflix a few years. So they've been around for about 8 years now, so it only took them about 8 years. And they want to eventually get suggestions and stuff up. They all want to get the product really great. So I honestly think streaming is the future. We probably won't even have cable TV anymore. And like right now, I have a Cox cable box because I was made by the cable company to get a cable box. Eventually, that'll probably be replaced with like some online content box or something. Or even have it built into the TV. For example, that Chromecast of mine on my TV, I think I even use that more than I even use the cable box itself. And that's saying a lot, but it's one of those things. I honestly think that streaming is the future. It's going to be around for a long time, and it's here to stay. Now, that's another thing. Music is going that same way too. Radio's dying out because you got internet radio now, and so all these traditional means are dying out because internet's here. Eventually, I hope they get it figured out where you'd be able to have unlimited data for just streaming in general. Other stuff they can charge for, I don't care, but they'd be able to free up space on my phone. For example, when I had my old Moto X, I had about 4 gigabytes worth of just music. And like, that wasn't even all my music. I had more on my computer. Sorry about that. I honestly just emptied the camera memory so I could have more room to record this. But as I was saying is, I would love to see the ability to be able to stream stuff from your data plan and not be penalized, because honestly, I have had to store all of my stuff on my phone and not had room for other important stuff that was more important than a song. So it would be interesting to see that. Another thing that would be interesting is to be able to see you not get penalized for your bandwidth limits on home internet, because even though it's a high bandwidth, so stuff like 4K video and stuff, eventually you're going to probably hit it a lot quicker, because 4K video does take a lot of bandwidth, which is basically the amount of data and slash data speed it takes to load something on the internet. So it's going to be interesting to see that. I honestly don't know how T-Mobile does it, because they offer a binge on, which is supposed to be like unlimited streaming from different media sites. So I don't know if they're losing money on it or if they're making money on it. I do not know. The FCC does charge you each time for the amount of data that is used, which I honestly do not understand why. I think it's just so they can make more money to fund different projects. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. Streaming is here to stay. Even traditional means of like music and stuff, it's dying out. It's all going online because it's instant and you have more choice. So with that said, the digital age is upon us, and it's just going to get better from here, and you're going to be able to have stuff like 4K video and very high definition stuff soon, if not already. So remember to like, comment, subscribe. I will post the notes that I took from the keynote on my website like I did with the Intel one. And also make sure you turn on your post notifications so you can see all the videos that I'm going to be posting throughout the rest of the week. I'm going to go watch some press conference and I'm going to report back to you tomorrow. And I think I'm going to watch the Volkswagen one. I honestly don't know. But I realized something. They're doing all the press conferences slash actually keynotes, which is just a fancy way of saying press conference, Monday through like today, because the expo floor is open up from today until Saturday. So it makes sense that they're going to get the keynotes out of the way first. So with that said, I will see you tomorrow. Make sure you turn on those post notifications. And goodbye.
Cause virtual is where we live, live, live. Cause virtual is where we live, live, live. Cause virtual is